Thanks everybody for joining us today for our Datavid webinar. Title is Enhance Your Data Platform Investment with Semantics and Generative AI. We have a nice list of speakers, and we are going to start with Clive Smith, who's going to tell a little bit about Datavid. And then a little bit of an introduction from Rob Agramonte from MarkLogic Progress. I'm going to talk about the unified data layer. I'm Tim Padilla, and then Sylvia Chirilla is going to do a bit more technical demonstration and talk a little bit deeper about the subject and around semantics. And Clive?
Okay, thanks, Tim. Just to reinforce the point, you are in the right webinar. We are going to be talking about investment in semantics and generative AI. But apart from it being a very long title, I thought it would also help to start by saying Datavid was founded 5 years ago by two data architects, two data engineers who both had a lot of experience with MarkLogic. One was an ex-MarkLogic professional services manager. And they wanted to reflect in the title of the company their focus on data-centric applications. So they took avid, extremely eager and interested, according to the Cambridge Dictionary, and marry it to data to come up with the title, the company name Datavid. Slide. Yeah, and what I missed saying was we're the world's largest Datavid partner. We have over 110 data consultants spread around the world. We'll show you a map in a minute of where those locations are. I think the exact count is 22 enterprise customers, but it changes every month. And we've been very successful for the whole 5 years of our existence. Particularly over the last 3 years, we've seen an acceleration of our business. But throughout those 5 years, we've always stayed focused on our core capabilities, which are to extract business value from structured and unstructured data. Slide.
I'm gonna do a slight correction to one thing Clive said. We're the largest MarkLogic consulting partner in terms of actual qualified MarkLogic consultants.
Yeah. And I think last time we counted, we had about 20 ex-MarkLogic consultants in the team. So here's where we're all based. There's 3 main locations: the United Kingdom, Romania. Sylvia is from Romania. And India, where we have the most consultants, 46 at the moment. As we build our presence in North America, we are recruiting in North America. But also we've recruited some people in the Philippines, where the time overlap with North America is slightly more favorable than India. We already get about 30% of our revenue from North America, and you'll see when we get to the customer slide, you'll recognize some of the names. Slide. Yeah, if I was to show just one slide on Datavid, might be the one I'd choose, because most services companies are like a pyramid. You've got a relatively small minority of people who are very experienced at the top, and at the bottom you have a huge mass of people that are 3 to 5 years out of whatever technical university they went to. We're the opposite. 80% of our consultants have more than 8 years experience. And as you can see, the largest segment, 28 of our consultants have more than 15 years experience. So typically we have a high impact on any project we engage with, because we bring so much expertise, and we bring just enough junior people to do the things that are necessary in any project, like QA, and you nearly always need a junior developer somewhere in the team. Slide. Okay, so I'm the least qualified person to talk about this slide. So if Tim wants to jump in and correct me at any time, he's welcome to. But the way I look at it is, nearly everything we do derives from data engineering. And so data engineering, data management, full stack development sort of maps onto the old MarkLogic slide of create, manage, and consume. We build data pipelines, we build data lakes, and we build applications that draw the data from the data lake. And increasingly, if we look at the solutions side of things, what our customers are doing is they're effectively moving from first generation data lakes to trying to build semantic data platforms. And so we've worked increasingly with things like ontologies, knowledge graphs, metadata, to build that semantic platform and those second generation applications. Slide. Okay, so this is just a statement of our technology reach, and it's not complete. There's several others, but it's firmly based on MarkLogic and React and Angular, and we use NiFi to build the data pipelines, or the other one's called Airways, isn't it? But basically everything that you need to build a semantic data platform and to build applications on top of it. Slide. Yeah, and here's some of our customers. AbbVie, the main contact is in Chicago. Neuro Insights is from, I think, Dallas, but it's definitely Texas. And ACS, the American Chemical Society. So as you can see, well represented in America, and growing. It's the fastest growing region for us in the world. So I think that's all I wanted to say to introduce, and I'll hand over to Rob now, who can say a few words on behalf of Progress MarkLogic.
Hi, thanks, Clive, and thanks for the introduction. I'm Rob Agramonte, and I am the sales manager for North and South America commercial sales for MarkLogic. Slide, please. And I've been working with the Datavid team since its inception, right back in 2018. As Clive said, they are our largest partner, and therefore one of our favorite partners. All the great works that they've been doing, helping us out in North and South America. Clive mentioned some of the accounts. I think one of the ones he did mention was Equinix. And we've delivered some very powerful applications through the years. As you see, it's progress with Datavid. So just a brief history. Back in February of 2021, MarkLogic acquired Semaphore, enhancing our semantic capabilities with knowledge graph functionality. So the ability to be able to do fact extractions and managing metadata was something that the MarkLogic platform was lacking. And with the acquisition and full integration of the Semaphore platform with the MarkLogic platform has really opened up a whole new array of applications that we can work with with Datavid. In February of 2023, Progress Software out of Boston bought MarkLogic, and the acquisition is now complete. And that gives us a lot of financial backing to do some other things. But some of the other cool stuff that's happening is that now we're integrating into the Progress suite of products. So there's business rule engines and some front end stuff that the MarkLogic platform was missing. So all of that is now being worked on and being fully developed with some financial viability behind the MarkLogic platform to bring us into this next generation of use cases, which is something that we're talking about here, using this RAG architecture that Tim will be going into is something that we're very excited about. And you'll see that it's slightly different than what a lot of people are talking about in the marketplace. But when you start adding in the making things correct and higher percentages of accuracy, you'll see that it's a very good approach for managing generative AI and bringing that into your organization. Slide, please. So I'm very much looking forward to a combination of MarkLogic, Semaphore, and your choice of GenAI, bringing that into your enterprises and working with your subject matter experts to improve that AI trustworthiness and actually start building out some of these applications. A lot of the conversations that we have across the globe, people are trying to figure it out. There's a lot of buzz around GenAI. So, how's it going to help me? Are the conversations that you should be having with the Datavid team. How is this going to add value to what we're doing? And that's what the rest of this seminar is going to provide you with. Tim, take it over from me. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, Rob. That was excellent. Okay, so hi, everyone. Again, I'm Tim Padilla. I'm Director of Consulting and Sales for North America at Datavid. And my role is to connect with our customers on the value of building solutions for data at scale applications. I have a long background in delivering technology. Sorry, I'm getting a note. I have a background in delivering technology, both inside companies and through consulting partnerships. And at Datavid, I'm helping to connect customers to our experts to build information architectures that solve complex problems and to extend those architectures to integrate advanced technologies, which is the heart of what we're talking about today. Okay, so covering advancements in data strategy is really kind of the heart of what I'm going to talk about. But it's data strategy, it's harmonization, data access, and moving your organizations to be more data-driven and anticipatory in decision-making and customer interactions. And we're going to talk about the unified data layer framework, which is a holistic approach to strategy and architecture, and it powers this change. And we'll again talk about that more as we go. The framework and resulting data intelligence are foundational, and they accelerate the adoption of new technology like GenAI into your business applications and workflows. And again, this is something, it's a hot topic. Rob mentioned it as well, and it's something we're all seeing in the marketplace. And what we think we're bringing is that focus on your data architecture, that focus on a robust and durable thing that you can then integrate the advanced technology and deal with that volatility. So as we kind of state here on the slide, it starts with data and practices. And again, the good news is it really is easier than it was in the past with rigid legacies, that made things like governance a seemingly never-ending cycle. Okay, so a moment to talk about a common issue that we still see in the marketplace: data silos. These silos are created and driven by legacy technologies, divergent practices, lack of effective data strategy, and business users who turn to point solutions to meet their needs. This often gets called, shadow IT. If you're a MarkLogic user, likely why you adopted the technology. To integrate data from silos and probably into a data hub. Having your data together pays dividends, but that's really the starting point of a unified data layer framework or UDF. A bit further into the challenges, we all know the rate of change, the rate of data creation, and now the desire for advanced technologies continue to put pressure on our ability to keep up with delivering value, which is really what most of us are involved with. If we dig in a bit, there are some factors that make data management challenging in a modern organizational context and require rethinking. Data complexity, ethics, privacy, legacy technologies, they're just a few of the pressures making it harder to deliver meaningful solutions. We go deeper still. Traditional data management approaches have widened that gap between diverse data sources, confounding seamless collaboration across departments, business units and system. And again, it's the silos. It's the traditional way of working. The legacy is just gonna drive a bigger gap and make your life harder. And we try to get to real-time insights and knowledge in the organization and use your data to actually drive forward. But achieving those real-time insights becomes elusive, becomes harder to quickly retrieve, understand, and analyze data from diverse sources. It's the data wrangling. After investing in a data hub, really what we want to talk about today is how do you take the next steps to deploy flexible technology within a supportive framework. And looking at the shifts we think organizations should be making, it's not just about the technology. It's also about the practice and thoughtful change. We're at the point where the technology can drive change and enable collaboration rather than division. But traditional data management strategies and methods are primarily designed for structured data, and they might overlook insights hidden within semi-structured or unstructured data sources, and that limits the scope and comprehensive data analysis that you can gain. So overcoming these limitations requires hybrid approaches that integrate traditional data management with newer technologies like NoSQL, which of course MarkLogic is a multi-mode NoSQL technology, but also semantic data layers, cloud-based solutions and updated big data frameworks. And again, these are not revolutionary things in that statement, right? If we all know MarkLogic, we've known it for a while. I've known it since 2005. But it's the shift in the market, how you put these things together, whereas you really want to get down into it. And these shifts, you got agility, velocity, and lower cost solutions that are enabled, as well as change across the organization and shared insights. And the newer technology, again, as I've been saying, it makes it easier to bring these things to your organization once the technology enables it rather than blocking it. And again, agile integration of next generation technologies, kind of why we're here today, and a tool set that allows for velocity in delivering innovation. Okay, so I've mentioned unified data framework, I don't know, at least 10 times probably so far, but really it's foundational. And the shifts that I was talking about, they lead to a focus on that durable data architecture that is extensible to new technologies and use cases. And again, I like that term durable. Because your data architecture, your unified data framework, the UDF, is foundational to being able to take advantage of things. So as we talk about it here, it's not just a technology approach, but it's also it's strategic, and it's a way to infuse agile thinking and practices into decision making and service delivery, and it serves as the backbone for seamless data integration. Core to unified data strategy is the elimination of data silos, data redundancy, and other bottlenecks which hamper the desired data flow within your organization. Again, that consistency and that durable architecture. And if you adopted that data hub, you're on this path. And the UDF has three fundamental stages, which we're seeing on the slide. There's connect, create, and consume. Again, these terms are not new; they're pretty familiar, but the new abilities here. The connect part manages compatibility with any data type, application architecture, and workflow. This component uses data integration and consolidation techniques to collect and combine data from disparate sources, ensuring a unified and consistent information view. The create phase is centered on extracting metadata, facts, named entity recognition, and tagging data using ontologies and taxonomy. This component offers a semantic layer embedded within an organization's knowledge. And we're going to talk about the semantic layer a bit as we go, but it's really something that powers this strategy. The consumption phase, it's going to offer cognitive search, data visualization, reporting, and other capabilities. We still talk about search a lot, and search is so core to these applications and the functionality, no matter what you do, even if it's more behind the scenes than a user actually interacting with it. But it allows the users to do analytics, create interactive dashboards, reports, and visual data representations. It enables stakeholders to comprehend and act upon the insights derived from the data. It also allows data to be consumed by next generation consumer facing apps. And we're seeing a lot of that blending of, like a chatbot is a good example because that's still a hot topic. But it allows you to take your kind of your corporate facing knowledge and expose that in a governed way to make sure that your interactions are how you want them to be. Okay, so if we look at the blueprint architecture, we see the functional layers present in the framework. And again, the connect layer integrates the diverse data, the create layer refines it, and the consume layer makes it available. The data hub is an important part of the architecture and is enhanced by the semantic layer. Together, this provides context to the data to drive insight for consumers like data analytics, but importantly, it allows for integration and governance of new technologies like AI. Of course, MarkLogic in this sense might be the data hub, right? And they also have those additional technologies and that semantic layer that Rob mentioned previously. Datavid Rover is a software product included in this illustration. It's kind of a big piece of it. Included might be the wrong way to say it as it comes out of my mouth, but it's something that kind of underpins, brings it together, and also provides good consumption. And Sylvia is going to go over that in a few minutes. So generative AI, as you can see in the box, it's integrated inside the create layer to assist with varied tasks. Anything from being able to search in natural language, data discovery, text and image generation, and again, chatbots, et cetera. The cool part is that the framework enables AI models to be hosted or called out to. So you don't necessarily you can use the AI of your choice. You don't need to necessarily install it in your architecture. You can call out to it, or if it's more appropriate, you can install it inside of your infrastructure. One thing to mention, the cost of hosting or calling out, it's a real thing that you need to look at, and it can be a real consideration along with your data governance. We're seeing some customers who do not allow call outs to other models. So they're basically required to bring it inside. So again, the benefit of this approach is that you've invested in your data capability, and that investment is both extensible and durable. In this model, you continue to keep your data updated, you continue to keep your investment growing, and you safeguard your intellectual property within your boundaries. And I'm not going to go into that here, but you can read all about the challenges around IP. The UDF enables the addition of advanced features and technology, but also shields you from the volatile nature of emerging technology. And it allows you to pivot from, for example, one LLM to another. If you follow this at all, what you see is there's tremendous volatility in even the big players. And you saw Apple is both. There was an announcement yesterday. They've published a paper about the LLM that they're working on, but they're also going to use Google's LLM. They've signed a contract for that. So even the large players are shielding themselves from this. And also, the thing that probably the most important part about what I'm talking about is integrating an LLM into an architecture is approachable, governable, and updatable if you approach it from the standpoint of your data framework. Okay, a little bit more detail, and I think both Rob and Clive mentioned the RAG architecture, or retrieval augmented generation, and Sylvia is certainly going to go through this. So I'm going to stay at a bit of a higher level. But we've done this at customers, and we do it to build applications enhanced by GenAI, and it's obviously shown in this diagram. But this architecture uses retrieval augmented generation, or RAG. It's been a thing since 2020, and it's gaining adherence and additional methods. And we feel this is a strong representation of that. And again, good way to leverage your data framework to bring additional interesting functionality to users. So this, I can kind of talk about this in the framework of customer engagements, where essentially we're prompt engineering information sent to the LLM. And in simple terms, prompt engineering is the practice of feeding instructions and information to an LLM to ensure the desired output. The UDF is an expression of your organization's knowledge And that knowledge can both guide and govern user experience with GenAI. And it's kind of the difference between asking ChatGPT to write you a short story on a subject versus, like outlining a short story in a subject and feeding that. You'll get much closer to what you want with that outline versus just the generalized question. And so, the overall result, though, is a better search experience with natural language functionality, and that helps the users actually build their queries, which, again, are going to be the prompt. There's a dramatic increase in the accuracy of the GenAI answers provided. So if you use your semantic tagging service and knowledge graph to extract the user-based concepts, and those concepts, again, are what help govern that. And so if we take the query and the context together and submit them to the LLM model, that's where the answer actually gets generated. And kind of a nice thing here is the RAG model will work whether you vectorize your data or not. And vectorizing your data is kind of a big activity. So it's, again, something you really need to think about. Okay, I'm going to wrap up with a couple of examples of how we've used this technology with a couple of customers over the last few years. But the case on the screen here, this is about a very large scientific publisher whose users were having trouble finding relevant content. Through design thinking and problem framing, it was determined their system was outdated, its data model did not support effective search, and their competitive advantage was being eroded. After understanding the problem, goals and the solution were defined, including enhancing their data management platform. Again, kind of as we've been talking about, via data classification, categorization, and natural language processing using industry standard ontologies users are familiar with. In short, we built out a UDF leveraging their MarkLogic investment. The results are a new cognitive search platform where users easily interact in natural language to find and discover new content, and it's expected to be a significant revenue uplift. So this isn't just an internal business application. This is something their users interact with. And this was done in 7 months, and that was achievable via the practices that we've walked through. Okay, and then Syngenta. So we mentioned Syngenta before as a customer. This is one of the applications that we built out. And they're a large provider of scientific agricultural products. And one of the applications we built is Synapse, which is shown on the screen here. Synapse uses AI technologies, including NLP and machine learning, to ingest, understand, organize, and query digital content from multiple structured and unstructured sources that come both from internal and external data providers. And this is, as a MarkLogic use case, that's kind of the core of what MarkLogic does. So things built around it are what bring it up. And again, they were having trouble finding things. They've got a ton of content. They were doing data wrangling rather than building insight. But through this solution, they can now easily find data, and literally they can find stuff in seconds or minutes versus hours. And if you've ever worked in a large organization, you recognize that. So this is an internal-facing application, and they've saved a lot of money on time and other solutions that they were building out that were not effective. But downstream, it also impacts positively their dependent processes like product velocity, product development. So they're gaining velocity in a lot of different things. And also, like the previous example, their MarkLogic Data Hub is a core of this. Okay, and thank you for listening to my piece. I'm going to turn over to Sylvia, who's going to talk a little bit more about technology and provide a demo.
Thank you, Tim. Sorry, I managed to have trouble unmuting myself. Okay. Further on, I will get into more details about our platform, Rover, which Tim has mentioned about already earlier. These kind of details are useful to set up the stage for the demo we'll be showcasing towards the end. I am a devoted technical person, and the same I can say about most of the members of Datavid. So basically, having Datavid started out by a group of technical people and as techies, Being trained to see patterns, the work we have done with a multitude of enterprise clients allowed us to see an emerging trend in relation to what many data product requires. And this is how the rover idea has came up. Similarly to the Mars rover, we have thought of a product which would allow its users to explore their valuable asset, data. A rover contains accumulated expertise and know-how while keeping up with the technological trends. The pattern that we have noticed and the solution we have sketched is illustrated in this slide. We started out from various structured and mostly unstructured data sources. We proceed by ingesting the data, then enriching it with the purpose of building up a unified data access layer, which will enable its users to have a better search experience at the very least. Once the data has been processed, by leveraging MarkLogic's out-of-the-box capability, search and semantics API become easily available, which can service a multitude of consumers. Discovery and knowledge graph visualization application, even content management if you have SEAs involved, or even reporting. This processing pipeline may be extended with additional microservice processor, depending on the data sources, as no tool can fit all the needs a business may have. But at its minimum, having an ontology, the pipeline will populate the corresponding knowledge graph. This is possible with the extraction and classification process, for which semaphore can be used. Rover exposes federated services querying the knowledge graph and the enriched content, based on which more integrations can be built, such as the RAG-based LLM integration Tim mentioned earlier, and which I will reiterate. So, once again, our platform supports unstructured data ingestion into a data hub, which is MarkLogic, via an enhancing data pipeline. In the pipeline, we are semantically tagging the data using taxonomies or ontologies, which leads us to enrich the knowledge graph. With this setup, we have enabled semantic search features on top of the content we have in the system. In order to leverage and improve the semantically enhanced data, we have chosen to use the power of LLMs in a cost-effective way, namely by using them on demand, based on on-the-fly build context, via a service which orchestrates the usage of components we have built. Once the query is submitted, the service starts to process the input via specific prompts. It condenses or rephrases the query such that it would be a standalone question. Then we're using our semantic tagging service and the knowledge graph to extract the user research concepts. As not all relevant query concepts can be contained into an ontology, we are applying an LLP task to extract the remaining noun phrases. Based on the extracted concepts and phrases, we're performing a semantic search, which will retrieve data snippets for the context generation. For additional context, we are also listing the synonyms, which usually are existing in the knowledge graph. Finally, we put the query and the context together and submit that to the LLM model to get the answer generated. As data is the most important, I need to set up the scene for the showcase today. We have loaded, for solely demo purposes, articles from the medical archive with regards to COVID-19. In addition to that, as our knowledge base, we have used COVOC ontology and the disease ontology. From the get-go, Rover was able to support content exploration via a cognitive search, dashboards for data analytics, knowledge graph exploration, all while federated content with semantics, obviously by leveraging MarkLogic and Semaphore. With the addition of LLMs, we have managed to achieve a Q&A user experience over existing content, response provenance, while giving the user more control over the used data. As if there are things to go wrong, they tend to go wrong during a demo. So for today, I will be presenting a recording I had done earlier. Thank you. This is Rover, our knowledge-based data platform. It offers configurable dashboards, and cognitive search capabilities, along with search engine specific features. All this by harnessing the power of federating text and semantics via knowledge graphs and full text search. We have created a widget to prove the integration of LLMs into our platform by using solely private data. We have assessed 3 publicly available models: OpenAI, Bedrock Titan, and Llama 2. Let's start our conversation. How to measure a disease lethality. In order to get the answer, the system is fetching paragraphs from the available data in order to put together a response. As a response, we get Gompertzian analysis, which seems to be specific only to COVID-19, which is of no wonder, as most of the data is about COVID-19. Earlier on, I have posted the same question to ChatGPT, and I got 5 ways of measuring disease lethality, but none of this mentions the Gompertzian analysis, which proves easily that in order to get this response, the system has used only private data. Let's go to a different scenario. I will ask a generic question. Tell me about COVID-19. As the question, it's not very specific. Using again LLMs, this question would be rephrased to something like, what is the situation with COVID-19? Okay, so we actually get information about the situation of COVID-19. Let's continue our conversation. Which are its variants? As we account for chat history, it's being replaced with COVID-19, of course. These are some of the variants. As we all know, this is not necessarily a complete list, but we can continue our conversation nevertheless. Let's ask it a subjective question. Which is the worst variant? Okay. The system has replied with the fact that Omicron is the worst variant, but it also provides the reason for that. It is because the disease transmission rate is about 3 times higher than other variants. You might have noticed that we have this kind of references in here. These are actually our provenance links. So clicking on them is going to redirect us to the articles, having highlighted all of the paragraphs which have been used. So the 3 times factor, it's actually something that we encountered in here. This kind of functionalities allow the user to cross-check the information and hence ensure themselves that the system has not hallucinated. As we all know, this is a big problem when working with LLMs. Moving on to a new case. We have performed the search, a very simple one, diabetes, which has reduced the number of articles shown here to only 3,000. While you're looking at the widget, you might have noticed that we have a small remark here: source, search results. As searching and filtering are one of the core features of the platform, we have restricted the context, which is going to be used by LLM, by accounting only the search results when building the base information for the model. So now when I'm going to ask it, what is TB? It will use only the information out of these 3,340 documents. Obviously, I got a simple answer: tuberculosis. I am just going to move on to the source document. And now, please notice that the source has changed to current document. So any addition to the conversation is going to use only the current document. I will ask again something about COVID. What is the relation between COVID-19 and TB. I do get some information. Obviously, they don't work well together. Okay, let's say that the user is just scrolling through the document as it consider that it is something relevant for their task. And they come across an acronym which is not explained in the near context. So more questions can be asked. What is LTBI? And the cross-referencing check continues to work as we actually here get it explained. Okay, so to resume, this integration allows the user to have a chat-like experience while using only the data that is loaded into the system, while being able to make cross-references and using as source only the documents which they have previously filtered by using the regular search engine capabilities. Team, over to you for wrapping up.
Thank you, Sylvia. And I want to say thank you to everyone who attended today. Hopefully this was worthwhile and some good information. We will send out a follow-up email with links back to the recording if you want to share it. Please feel free to follow up with any questions, and all of that information will be out in the emails. But again, thanks to everybody who attended. Thank you to the presenters, both from Datavid and MarkLogic. And I hope everybody has a great rest of their day.